All right, welcome back to another edition of a better NFL Top 100, at least a hopefully better NFL Top 100. I don't know, a little arrogant for me to say it's going to be better. Yeah, at least I'm trying here. All right, but this is the Top 100, number 40 through 31. If you want to see some of the previous videos I've done, I have number 41 through 100. All of those videos are on this channel. If you want to just skip this video and stay tuned when it's gets a little higher, every day I'm coming up with a new one of these videos. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump into the list. Number 40, Andrew Thomas, the left tackle of the New York Giants. A great example of why don't give up on a player just because they had a bad rookie year. Obviously, the best predictor of future success is past success, but for Andrew Thomas, had a rough rookie year. Almost looked like he didn't belong there. But since then, he's just been elite. He's been one of the best tackles in football. So, great stuff by the Giants. They're definitely hoping that Evan Neal makes the same leap that Thomas did. It started the same. Hopefully, it ends the same for them. But yeah, for now, Thomas here at 40. Number 39, we have Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs makes this list. You could argue Josh Jacobs was the best running back in football last year. A lot of metrics had him actually as the best running back in football last year. He was PFF's highest rated running back. You look at, his stats. It's crazy this guy doesn't get more attention. 1,600 yards at 4.9 yards per carry last year. He had his best season, and he's only 25 years old. I know running backs fall off a cliff quicker than we expect them to. I agree with the decision to franchise tag him, all that stuff. Don't give him a long deal. That all makes sense. Trust me. If you follow this channel, I get it. But a guy like Josh Jacobs still has plenty of value. His season last year was incredible. So yeah, he's a top 40 player for me. Number 38 is another offensive lineman, left tackle Laremy Tunsil of the Houston Texans. Another guy who I think probably doesn't get enough attention. He had maybe his best year last year for Houston. It was PFF's highest rated pass blocking tackle, which that's usually what you pay attention to for offensive linemen. So for the Texans, they now have multiple offensive linemen make the top 100. They had Shaq Mason make it. Shaq Mason was a little bit further down on the list, but he still was able to get on the list. So there you go. And then you have obviously him here, Tunsil, who listen, is it worth trading the number 38 overall player on the list for multiple first round picks? I don't know, but the Texans at least got a good player out of it. So, it's better than the Seahawks trading multiple first round picks for Jamal Adams, I suppose. Number 37 is the Tennessee Titans defensive tackle, Jeffery Simmons. Jeffery Simmons, who is I think he does so much to this team. I really do. I think that what he is able to do, I think there are some holes on that Titans defense, but he completely masked a ton of those holes. And the stats the stats are good. 7.5 sacks last year, 8.5 sacks the year before for a interior defensive lineman. Those are definitely good numbers, but they don't tell the full story. He's significantly better than a guy who just does that, in my opinion. There's so much he brings to the table. And so, that's why I have him here at 37. And I think that he basically forces you to have to game plan around him, which opens up the door for other pass rushers to come through. So he's here at 37. Number 36 on the list is the Las Vegas Raiders edge rusher, Maxx Crosby, who's just consistently gotten better every year he's been in the league. 37.5 sacks in 4 years, and his best sack season last year, where he had 12.5 sacks. It's second year he's had double-digit sacks, and I have a feeling it will not be his last. Someone who really feels like he can beat you any way. It's kind of a weird thing where he came into the league and was undersized, and it's he just gained weight and now is awesome. It's oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. I guess that works out. So for a 4th round pick, he's certainly lived up to his draft stock and then some. Been a fantastic player for them. And hey, multiple Raiders here on this video. There you go. Don't have a ton of depth, but at least you got a couple stars on the list. Maxx Crosby at 36. Next up is Saints linebacker, who really I don't think gets enough credit for what he's been able to do in his now 5 years with the New Orleans Saints. 34 years old, definitely not getting any younger, but he's a star player. He absolutely is. It's one of those things where it's I feel like linebackers in general, they don't have a great stat to use. People like to look at like tackles or like, I guess if you get a lot of sacks or interceptions, people will look at that as well. There really is no great stat. PFF grade to me is probably the best stat to look at. But for someone like Demario Davis, he's just someone who you watched film and he's always in position. He's always getting players in position. He means so much to that Saints defense. And ever since he's come over there, because he wasn't a like star with the Jets or with the Browns, but ever since he went to the Saints, he's been a star player. So he's here at 35. 34 is Joey Bosa, who, was hurt last year, didn't play much, but has been a pretty consistent 10 sack guy over the course of his career. He has in his now 7 years in the NFL, 4 10 sack seasons, another 7.5 and 5.5 sack season. A couple of his seasons where he didn't get those numbers, it's just injuries. And I guess you could argue that's maybe the negative. The knock on him is just injuries, but he's definitely someone who probably gets a bit, he's a bit in the shadow of Nick Bosa, probably. But I mean, he's a superstar in his own right, or at least a star in his own right. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think another guy who just someone who can get those immediate wins. So yeah, I have him here at 34. Number 33, we are now past the two-thirds mark here as Jaylen Waddle I have making this list. Jaylen Waddle was amazing for Miami last year. It's a perfect fit for him, perfect scheme fit for him. He had, 1,300 yards last year. And yes, it does help having Tyreek Hill, but I think Tyreek Hill has been helped out by having Jaylen Waddle. It's all worked out perfectly well, and he's only in his second year now. So, the sky is the limit for the Miami Dolphins wide receiver. Number 32, I'm going Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs, I feel like he's someone who just consistently gotten better as his career has gone along. He was a good player for the Vikings, and his first 5 years for them was like a kind of like a consistent, like 1,000 yard guy. Kind of felt like one of those guys who was the line between if you're better than him, you're a number one receiver. If you're worse than him, you're a number two receiver. He's gone to the Bills and just been significantly better. He's been a clear number one receiver and been among the best number one receivers in football since he's been there. He had another, 1,400 yard season. He's also had a 1,500 yard season with the Bills, and his down year was only, 1,225 yards and 10 touchdowns. So he's been amazing with them. Perfect fit here at 32. And number 31 is Cooper Kupp, who it's like, so here's the thing about Cooper Kupp. Here is the knock on Cooper Kupp. The guy's second best season, he had 1,161 yards. His third best season, he didn't even break 1,000 yards. So he's really only had that 1 year. Why do I still have him this high on the list? Because of how good that year was. I mean, last year he had 1,900 yards. It was 1,947 yards, which is crazy. 16 touchdowns, 145 receptions. All of those led the NFL, and he also won Super Bowl MVP. I mean, that's an incredible year, and he was well on his way to having another great year in 2022 before getting injured. So I think if he stays healthy, he's going to continue to do that. I think the chemistry that him and Stafford have is incredible, and I think he's fantastic and belongs on this list. So a little bit of a run at wide receiver to end the 30s, but yeah, those are the 31 through 40. Tomorrow, I will reveal the next 10, so be on the lookout for that. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.